My name is Sara Bawany, and tonight you guys have heard a lot of different statistics and numbers and I guess more rhetorical ideas of what ACC is and who it's benefited. But I'm here today because I want you guys to hear from a real life student who benefited from ACC and what it has done for me. So like Brother Athar said, a lot of the students who have been recipients of these loans are medical students, PA students, people with these really high-end careers, mashallah, and we have a lot of money in the Muslim community, right? Like, alhamdulillah. And so for me, a lot of the students that I was studying with and working with, they had their parents to fund them, mashallah, and that's wonderful. But because that's very much the norm in the Muslim community, a lot of students like myself get overlooked. And that's where ACC has stepped in. I come from a family where it's not, your traditional Muslim family. My parents are divorced, and when that happened to us, that took a lot of money out of my family, and so we were stuck in a situational poverty essentially. And I'm not a slacker student. I was valedictorian of my class, despite all of that, alhamdulillah. I went to college on scholarship for my undergrad, but then it came time for my master's program, which was in social work. And if you know anything about mental health, there isn't really any funding for social work and psychology and some of those liberal arts professions, which I think are so important for the Muslim community to have, but that's a separate discussion. And I remember whenever I got into grad school, I was really excited. I was fully funded through undergrad, alhamdulillah, but then it came time to figure out my finances for grad school, and I had zero, nothing. And that's when I realized I was going to have to take out a loan, and I was really scared because I was well taken care of throughout undergrad, and this was an entirely new process for me. And the worst thing ever that could have possibly happened is that me and my mom researched and we tried to find a loan that at least deferred the interest, I don't remember what it's called, to 6 months after you graduate, but we ended up taking out a loan on accident that accumulated interest from the moment I had it. And I realized this halfway through my time in grad school. And that video that they showed earlier, it may have looked really over dramatic, but that's literally how I felt for the first year of my grad program, just crying, constantly upset. Because as practicing Muslims, we don't want to take out a loan on interest. We really hear these hadith and these Quran ayah, they really scare us about the punishment and all of these things that are associated with taking out a loan on interest. And for me to be a student and trying to work and then living with this guilt and this pressure all the time, it was extremely hard. And like I said, a lot of the students in the Muslim community don't understand this because their parents fund them. Because they have, mashallah, they have doctors as parents, or they have a stable family where they're able to have the money to pay for school, and I didn't have that. And so not only did I live with this guilt all the time, but I was always made fun of, Sara doesn't like us, Sara doesn't hang out with us, you work too much, all you do is work. And it wasn't just that I felt guilty all the time, but I was socially excluded in many ways, which is not an after effect you think about when it comes to something oh yeah, you took out an interest loan and you're upset all the time. But this is the reality of what happened. Not only did I not have any help, but I was socially excluded as well. And it contributed to a lot of depression and anxiety that I experienced throughout my time in grad school. In fact, something that's really crazy, I almost got kicked out of my program because I was so depressed, because my professors thought I couldn't handle it. Saw that I was depressed, did not understand what the problem was with my interest loan, did not understand why I was working all the time, did not understand why I was half asleep in class because I was working all the time, to just try and pay off the loan. It was just this constant, like in Urdu would say, the susti, you have to just pay it off and get it over with, but it was a big loan and I couldn't do it. And I prayed and prayed for a miracle, for something to get me out of it, for just something to come along and just relieve me of this burden. And I don't remember how I found it, but I found ACC. And I can honestly say, when you make dua for something, Allah answers you, and this was kind of the answer to my prayers. So ACC helped me pay off a majority of that loan I had, and I was able to completely get rid of it, and then all I had left was the ACC loan, which didn't have any interest attached to it. And alhamdulillah, I actually paid off my loan last month, the whole thing. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you. So I graduated last year, and within exactly a year, I was able to pay this off because I live with my mom and I don't have to pay rent, and it was wonderful. So, but I paid it off, and that's, I think, a really good real-life example you have of someone who really benefited from this and is not only able to pay off the entire loan, but now I can help and be up here and like explain why this is such a great organization, why you should donate to it, and I can give back too, with not very much, because social workers don't make very much money, but you know, whatever I can. But to conclude, I really want to say that my story is just an example of how this money goes like somewhere substantial. You're not just donating money that you'll never ever see again, right? You're not just investing in students, you're investing in the future of the ummah, like in the Muslim community, in like our young Muslim professionals that are going to be the face of the Dallas Muslim community, or like the American Muslim community. And it's so, so important to invest in this because, you know, like Abdullah and Atar said, the student loan debt crisis is absolutely massive. And like you saw in that video, like we feel it, like we feel the effects of it, and all we want is to be able to study and make the world a better place without having that riba attached to it. So that's all I have for you today. I really hope you guys donate. This organization means the world to me, and it's helped me so much, and obviously so many other students as well. Jazakallah khair.